Hi everyone, Sam Smyers here. I'm an artist and music producer in Los Angeles, California. Today I want to talk to you about 5 easy steps to mastering your song. The first step is that we need to figure out the target sound that we are going for. So we want to establish how loud we want our song to be and also use 1 to 3 different reference tracks to compare our song to. And what I usually do is I'll A and B my song to another song and try and get my song to sound a little bit similar to that reference track. A plugin that I like to use is called Reference, and this is by Mastering the Mix. And in this plugin, I can drag in my reference track or tracks, and then A and B my original to the reference tracks. So right now I just have one reference track in here. It's called Jealous by Chromeo, and I can A and B it, and I can also see some other meters in the bottom here, such as comparing the low frequencies, the middle frequencies, and the high frequencies to my track. I also can compare the LUFS, peak and gain. So right now, I have already played this reference track. I'm not going to play it right now because YouTube might take down this video if I play the track. So Reference has already analyzed the LUFS in this track, Jealous, and it is about -6.5. And so let's go ahead and figure out what the LUFS is going to be on my original track without any of the mastering on it. So it's sitting at about -13.4, and when I put the limiter on my mastering chain, I'm going to want to push it to about -7 LUFS or -6. The second step is that we want to control the peaks and glue the track together. I will usually do that with a bus compressor and then also with some soft clipping. So I just put on this bus compressor. I have the preset on mix glue. And let me adjust the threshold to take off about 3 dB of gain reduction. So I'm just doing about -2, -3 dB of gain reduction there. So next I add on a soft clipper, and I'm using K-Clip 3 by Kazrog. And basically what I'm doing is I'm catching any of the peaks that are making its way past the bus compressor. And with the bus compressor and the soft clipper, I'm controlling the peaks so that I'm able to get a little more headroom out of my mix and also push my track a little bit louder when I add on the limiter. So I'm clipping about 5 dB, and I'm adding a little bit of gain through this soft clipper. So I'm getting a little bit of a volume boost too, just from the soft clipper. The third step is that we're going to want to EQ the track, and this is going to be subtle changes because we're listening to the whole mix in context, and if we're making big boosts or big cuts like this, it might be worth it to go back into your track and make those edits to the individual instruments during the mixing phase. I'm adding a little bit of high-end boost to the track. I have a bell filter and then a high shell filter. So I just A and B'd it with the EQ and without it. It adds a little bit of high end to the vocals and also to the drum, percussion, hi-hats, things like that. The fourth step is to use a stereo imager plugin. The key to using these plugins is that you want to be very subtle with how much of it you are using. Otherwise, you could cause some phasing issues. So let's go ahead and listen to my track without any processing from the stereo imager on it. If we look at this vector scope and also this correlation meter, we can see it's hanging out around +1, and that's where we want it. If it goes to -1, then that means we have phasing issues. So let's go ahead and start messing with these bands. So I just added some width in the high end and also the mid-range. Of course, for the low end, we don't want to add any width. We can either just leave that at 0 or take some of the width away. The 5th step is to add the limiter. I am using Ozone 9's maximizer for the limiter. I'm going to use the IRC3 and put it on the clipping setting. For the true peak, I'm going to make sure this true peak is turned on. If you don't have this true peak turned on, you may have some peaks that make their way past the limiter, and this could cause issues when your track is being converted to analog signal going through some speakers. It could cause some distortion issues, so I usually turn this true peak on. And I'll set my ceiling at -0.2 dB, and I'm going to shoot for about -7 LUFS. So let me go ahead and look at this loudness meter and lower the threshold and figure out how loud I want to make this track. So that sounds pretty good to me. For the loudness, we have it at -7.3 LUFS. And let's go ahead and compare the track without the limiter. Let's go ahead and listen to the track without any of the mastering plugins on it.
Cuando sueño en la cama siento que tú estás conmigo, pero nunca volverás, nuestro destino.
To recap, the first step is to figure out the target sound you're going for using some reference tracks and also a loudness meter to figure out the LUFS, to figure out how loud you want to make your track. The next step, step 2, is to control the peaks using a compressor and possibly a soft clipper. The third step is to apply some EQ. If there's too much bass, too little bass, make some minor edits to the EQ to make the track a little more balanced. The fourth step is to use a stereo imager plugin. And then the fifth step is to add your limiter. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much.